Welcome to tonight's live stream. I'm going to get started in a minute, and I just need a minute to go out here and promote tonight's show on social media. Okay, with the live stream promoted on media, I am going to go into a little bit of perfunctory as related to upcoming SJS Direct projects. Now, I have several 2022 projects that I want to give everybody a status report on before I get on the air tonight. What's going on, Revelator? I'm getting ready to talk about the progress report as related to several projects that are coming to. Now, I am just almost finished. I am two-thirds finished with this book, and I'm headed towards the conclusion part of the book and the solution section. So I've already presented the thesis, I presented the issues that women face that put them in crisis, and I'm getting closer to the solution part of the book that is like the man crisis that I made back in 2018. And the woman crisis be a companion to The Man Crisis, which is now available on Amazon.com right now for everybody to pick up in paperback and Kindle format. And you can also find The Man Crisis on Smashwords, the iBookstore will play. Now, The Man Crisis is getting closer and closer to 500 sales, and that's a goal I would like to see the book achieve in 2022, is getting towards the 500 sale bookmark. So that's something I'm asking everybody to go out here and do, is pick up a copy of The Man Crisis and get the word out about The Man Crisis, because The Man Crisis has transformed the lives of men all over the world and helped them go from men in crisis to men with purpose and direction in their lives. So that's one of that's what this book, the Woman Crisis, will be a companion to The Man Crisis. The Man Crisis on Amazon right now. Now, another project that I am currently working on is the John Haynes at Death's Door comic. And that comic, I got page 27 from artist Antonio Balderi this week. And page 27 ends the third act of John Haynes at Death's Door. So all of the principal art for the first three acts of the story are complete, and with all of the principal art for the first three acts of the comic complete, I am just waiting for Antonio to finish the John at Death's Door, and we are 5 pages away from this 32-page comic being finished with the art. And I've just talked to a letterer Antonio referred me to, and we are negotiating a deal for the lettering. So everything as related to the art and the lettering is making good progress. And once I get the cover, I'll be able to get the Kickstarter launched. So I'm hoping to get this John Haynes at Death's Door comic launched very soon. I'm hoping to get it done by the first quarter of the year because that's the big time for your publishing and getting books in the hands of readers. I would love to get it out in March, April, or May because that's when I launched the 2022 catalog. Now, the spring 2022 catalog has 3 titles I'm currently working on that are practically finished with the editing, finished with the page layout, and for the covers from Bill Walko. The first book, John Haynes at Death's Door, Mike Williams has already done the cover, and that book is practically ready to go with paperback. And I'm just waiting to see where the comic goes because I want to launch the comic first before I launch the prose book. So that book is ready to go, and we're ready to launch it. And we're just waiting for the right time to go and launch it. Now, the other 2 books, Isis Legacy and Eastern Horror of the Hyena Woman, waiting for the covers from Bill Walko, and those books will be ready to go this year. So those are the 4 books of the 2022 SJS Direct catalog, and I'm going to hopefully be able to get all those books out to you this spring, and I'm hoping to get the one out to you this fall. So that's the schedule as it relates to the 2022 catalog, and I wouldn't be able to put those books on the marketplace if it wasn't for viewers going out here donating to and supporting the channel or donating and supporting through PayPal. I wouldn't be able to get those books out. And again, I thank everybody for their support early on in advance. Now, with all of that perfunctory, I'm going to get into tonight's topic. Now, tonight's topic is based on some comments that I received on my discussing the divorce of actress Lisa Bonet and Jason Momoa. Now, some of these commenters, some of them female, were really getting emotional regarding your Lisa Bonet's divorce and my comment on the divorce of Lisa Bonet. But many of these people who were getting upset regarding those comments, they do not understand all about how Hollywood exploits Black actresses and how it promotes extremely negative narratives regarding the image of Black women. Now, Hollywood is the media arm of white supremacy, and as the media arm of white supremacy, its primary goal is to elevate the image of white men and white women being the ideal and represent the idea of white men and white women being the perfect image of humanity. So that is the core mission of your white supremacy and your core mission of its media arm, which is Hollywood. Now, Hollywood is not interested in elevating the image of Black women. No, Hollywood's main interest in the image of Black women is to denigrate the image of Black women and continue pushing the narratives that your white supremacy made regarding the image of Black women that have been presented ever since the dark days of the Jim Crow South. Now, not even the Jim Crow South, I would say the antebellum South, because during slavery, this is when they created these caricaturized images of Black women, and they created these narratives regarding the image of Black women. Now, your white supremacy does not want, again, your Black woman to be seen as the image of beauty and elevated to that high level as the image of beauty. No, they have reserved that spot to that spot as the pinnacle of beauty and elevated as the image of ultimate ideal beauty. And this is something that many people who get caught up in celebrities don't really think about critically. They don't really think about critically about who Hollywood was designed to elevate, and they buy into the narrative that your Hollywood is a fair and balanced place, but your Hollywood has never been a balanced place because, again, it is the media arm of white supremacy, and they are all about, again, elevating that image of black, well, not black womanhood, but white womanhood and white women as the picture of perfection. What they wanted to do, again, is continue pushing the caricatures that came from antebellum slavery as regarded to the black female. Whenever they have an image of a black woman, what they want to do is make sure that that image fits into these stereotype narratives as related to these racist caricatures. Now, these caricatures include the Black Jezebel, which is a sexually promiscuous black woman who will practically have sex with anybody who will come near them. Basically, what they want to do is denigrate the black female image by saying the black woman is a sexually promiscuous woman who will just go out here and have sex with anyone. And that came, again, from the slave master who saw African women who were topless, which was part of their culture, and then tried to twist it to fit his own perversion. So he saw that these African women were dressed a certain way, and what he wanted to do was demonize that image because he wanted to go out here and make the white female appear to be the ideal of, again, beauty and the ideal of so-called virtue. So he wanted to make the white woman appear to be more virtuous in comparison to the black woman. He did was he created this Jezebel caricature as one of the stereotypes he pushed. Now that was the first of the stereotypes he pushed. The other stereotype he pushed was that the black woman was the sapphire caricature, and the sapphire caricature was designed to make the black woman appear to be that woman with a big mouth, and it was also designed to show her that she had no respect for men and would go out here and emasculate any man who ever got in her way. Now, these characters, the Jezebel and the Sapphire, these were designed to go out here and degrade the image of black women, so and demonize the image of black women. They would appear to be less attractive in comparison to the Western or American white woman. So what they wanted to do was go out here and make it where the white female would appear to be more attractive by making her appear to be soft and feminine and being pleasant to be around, and also to be this so-called picture of virtue, go out here and be the ideal woman to make a wife. She was pleasant to be around, and she was somebody who had good virtue and good morals. That's what your white supremacists wanted to do with the white female image, and they wanted to denigrate the image of the American black with these two caricatures. Now, both of those caricatures were designed to go after young black women to make it where they would not be seen as wife material and be seen as women that deserve to be respected. Designed to dehumanize black women and dehumanize the image of black women so that a slave master could feel justified in participating in his sexual deviancy your young black women. So he used the black women, and These caricatures carried on into Hollywood when Hollywood was created, and the goal of these two caricatures were what your Hollywood uses to go out here and exploit young black women like your Lisa Bonet was back in the 1980s. Now, before your Lisa Bonet was out here and being exploited like this, we had this caricature pushed in the 1970s with white Hollywood in what they called Blaxploitation movies. Now, in these Blaxploitation movies, they had actress Pam Grier playing these kinds of roles, and what they wanted to do was try to push this narrative of her being this so-called strong black woman who took no mess and was double tough, but on the undertones of those characters she played, like Coffee and Foxy Brown, what they were trying to do was continue to breathe brand new life into those old stereotypes of the Sapphire and the Jezebel. That's what they were trying to push in many of the Pam Grier movies on the slide. And most people they didn't really catch it because black people were so desperate to see a black image that they didn't really see how your Hollywood was actually exploiting black Americans. That's why those films were called blaxploitation movies, because these films that were made primarily by your whites in Hollywood, these were designed to exploit the black community three ways. One, they were designed to exploit the black community by getting black dollars out of the black community for so-called black movies, but these movies were primarily made by white movie studios, which back in the 1960s and early 1970s were desperate to find a revenue stream because they had alienated most of their white baby boomer viewers who were frustrated about not seeing the stories as related to the Vietnam War and were tired of seeing what Hollywood was producing, which are these epic films, which are based on classic novels, these World War II movies, and these musicals. So they had lost the baby boomer generation and they were desperate for an audience. So they sought to target the black audience with these blaxploitation movies. And that took black dollars out of the black community, and it also took the black film genre away from people who like your late Melvin Van Peebles, who showed that there was a marketplace. Now, your Melvin Van Peebles, with the help of Bill Cosby, created the first blaxploitation film, which was Sweet Sweetback, but that was designed to show that there was a market for black film. Your whites in Hollywood then capitalized on this genre of film after seeing Melvin Van Peebles' success, and then further used this to push more stereotypes about black women with your Pam Grier and other actresses that were out here, like the TNT Jackson. Again, it's all about pushing the idea of a hypersexualized black female and the idea of a so-called tough and masculine acting black female. Now, that was one of the ways they were going out here and pushing that in the 70s. But as the 80s went on, we had men like Bill Cosby who were more aware of the impact of images in media on young black girls. And one of the things he was trying to do to combat many of the negative stereotypes regarding the image of young black women and young black girls was he created the Cosby Show. And what he wanted to do with the Denise Huxtable character, which was played by Lisa Bonet, was create the concept of a black girl next door. Now, the role of a girl next door was not one that was pushed in a lot of media as related to black girls and young black women. Usually, images of young black girls and young black women were usually something you only saw in not in movies, but in magazines that were black owned, like Jet and Your Ebony. And rarely would you see an image of a young black girl being a young, friendly girl. outside of Jet's Beauty of the Week. And that was the only place you could see an image of a beautiful young black girl or young black woman. And what happened is your Bill Cosby wanted to create the girl next door role for young black girls because white girls could be the girl next door. She could be the girl you wanted to date. She could be the girl who girls wanted to be the best friend of. She could be the girl that guys wanted to date. But your black girls were not allowed to be seen in these kinds of roles in mainstream media. No, what they wanted you to see with black girls was the black girl as the Jezebel and the black girl as the Sapphire, and they also wanted you to see the black girl as the victim of violence, like we saw in Blaxploitation movies and many other kinds of movies where we oftentimes saw the white girl. She was never allowed to be the victim of horrific violence. If there was a black girl, they would go out here and have her be the victim of sexual violence, her be the one that got murdered. And this was something that was presented in many movies, again, showing that the life of a black girl had less value than that of a white girl. And again, that's the narrative they wanted to push as related to how Hollywood saw black women. They didn't see black women as somebody whose life had value, and they didn't want you to see a black woman as somebody who should be first. They always put the black actress in the role where she was behind the white girl as the friend, and she was the one who suffered the violence and abuse, so that the white girl could go out here and be the hero. That was a trope that was presented in a lot of media. And again, this is what we saw in media until Bill Cosby came along and gave us the black girl next door. Now, the black girl next door was a very important role because it was one that showed that black men had love for black women, and it was one that showed that black men. Let me see what's going on with the microphone here. Rich Cole, let me take a look. Okay, what's going on with this microphone? Okay, let's turn it up. Okay. Okay, I've turned up the microphone. Is the audio? How's the audio going now? I think it could be. Let me see if this is YouTube added again, because when you start talking about certain topics, um, okay, yeah, because you start talking about certain topics, your YouTube likes to play little games, and that's something that YouTube likes to do. So when you start talking about certain topics, this is one of the things that they like to do because they don't want to hear me talking about certain topics. So the whole thing is that thank you. I tweaked the mic in the back. See Truth the Revelator. Also, thank you for the. I'm going to give a few shout outs for before I go continue on. Um, what's going on, Ken J? What's going on, Nakia? Glad to see you all here. But I'm going to get back to my topic. And again, the Black Girl Next Door, it was a very important role because it sent a message to the world that black men loved black women, and we loved women so much that we saw a black woman as somebody we wanted to date and somebody we wanted to marry. And the Black Girl Next Door, this was somebody that a black man wanted to really go out here have a relationship with, and we wouldn't have gotten the Black Girl Next Door if it wasn't for men like Bill Cosby, who wanted to show that our girls and our young women were attracted. One of the reasons why the Cosby Show was so important because we saw a girl next door. We saw a black girl that we all could see as somebody we wanted to have a relationship with, and that's an expression on black love. That's why the Denise Huxtable character was so important to black music. And I know some people have some issues with Bill Cosby because he picked a fire woman for that part, but it was just about the skin tone of the girl. It was the personality, it was the voice of the character. That's what was so important because that role of a girl next door that opened the door for a lot of other characters that came along that were similar to a girl next door, sort of like Annie's character, Laura Charles, in The Last Dragon, women who were girlfriend material. And again, that movie, Last Dragon, was one created by Barry Gordy, a black man who wanted to show black love in a movie. So that's what they were creating in the 80s as related to the image of black women. Heterosexual black men were creating images of black girls next door and showing you that black women were attractive. Black women were women you wanted to have relationships with. Black women were girls you wanted to date. And black girls were somebody you wanted to just have fun and be around. Moreover, this was somebody you wanted to be friends with. Unfortunately, your actresses like your Lisa Bonet, they really did not appreciate these kinds of roles because they were spellbound. This big problem a lot of black women and black actresses had is that they get spellbound and they want to fit into the black box that is acceptable to white people. And because they want to fit into that black box that's acceptable to white people, it's more comfortable whenever a white person is giving them attention or a white person is giving them some sort of approval. And this happened to Lisa Bonet back in the 1980s when she was on the Cosby. What happened to her is that she started to get her head gassed by some of these white movies. Came to her and told her that she could be a bigger star. Now, this is a game that is run on a lot of black actresses, and I go into detail into that kind of game in my screen, All About Maryland. Now, in All About Maryland, I talk about how your producers go out here and exploit black girls, and you can get that book on Amazon in paperback and Kindle format. And it details how black actresses have to struggle in Hollywood and how they go out here and exploit black actresses. What the white executive does is he gasses the head up of the actress, and their agent, and starts telling them they can do better than the production. And that's what happened with Lisa Bonet. Is they told her, "Oh, you can go out here and be bigger under our production. You can go out here and get better exposure under our productions." And they would spin it by saying things like, "Oh, with our roles, you'll be able to show a greater acting range. You'll be able to play something more than a basic black girl next door. No, you can American type character, and you will be seen by audiences all over the world as an American, not just as a black American." So they promote the concept of integrating you into mainstream Hollywood. And a lot of the black actresses, they get gassed by this idea. And what happens is because they want to be in that acceptable to white mainstream Hollywood, they start looking to turn on black producers and producers of content like your Bill Cosby. And that's what Lisa Bonet wanted to do back in 1985, 86, when she left to go star in production of Angel Heart. Now, your Bill Cosby, he was trying to protect Lisa Bonet from that type of exploitation, and she didn't want to hear it because her eyes were filled with stars as related to the promises these Hollywood producers were telling her. And again, these Hollywood types, these executives, they will make big promises to that actress who they see has promise, and what they will do is take them off on a bad road. And if you don't have good agents or good managers who can see where this is going, what you'll do is wind up on a bad road and starring in really poor subpar projects that really are not good. Now, just like I wrote in All About Marilyn, what happened to Lisa Bonet, she decided to star in this Angel Heart movie, and she got her head gassed to believe that, oh, I'm going to become a big star by showing my acting range, and she's going to think that she's going to show her acting range by doing things like nude scenes and doing things like graphic sex. Now, these scenes that they featured Lisa Bonet in Angel Heart, these were absolutely disgusting scenes when you really consider it, because this was basically a child, when you really think about it, in a sex scene with a grown man, and it basically showed the sexual deviancy of those in Hollywood as related to the black woman's image. So what they were doing in that extremely graphic sex scene was taking a child, really, if you think about it, because she was 17, 8, no, she was 18 years old, and they had her with a grown man. And that was them, the white supremacists, going out here getting the images they wanted to see of a black girl being a black Jezebel, and they wanted to demonize your Lisa Bonet's images, and they also wanted to get their fantasy where they could go out here and continue promoting the exploitation of a young black girl who was becoming a black woman. So they got to put Jezebel narrative with Lisa Bonet, and that's one of the reasons why those sisters out here went out here and boycotted this movie and campaigned against it in 1986, because a lot of the sisters out here saw what was going on, and they saw this exploitation going on, and that's why they pushed back against it. Was trying to do as related to her image, how he was trying to craft an image where she would be a black girl next door. And this happens to so many black actresses. They get spellbound by the attention they're receiving by whites in Hollywood, the promise of becoming a mainstream star. And what they do is thinking about, oh, I'm going to be seen as an actress, not a black actress. And what happens is that they wind up on this paradigm where they wind up getting exploited by Hollywood, presented in roles where they are always featured doing graphic nude scenes, graphic sex scenes, and over time, their careers never take off, because in order to be an actress, you really need a strong female audience. And once you start playing the Jezebel role, you've practically alienated your primary female audience. And that's what happened to your Lisa Bonet back in 1986. She went from being the black girl next door that girls wanted to be like, and mothers could say could be somebody that they wanted their daughters to be a role, and the one that guys wanted to date, to someone who wound up alienating the black female audience by playing the Jezebel role. And after she played the Jezebel role, she lost her core black as related to the, even though Bill Cosby had a different world going on, she had lost the black female audience, and she had also of the black male audience, because a lot of black boys and black men, when they saw her out here playing Epiphany Proudfoot and getting turned out by these white guys, by your Mickey Rourke, that was the end of for those black boys and black men as seeing her as a girl next door. And your white supremacists again did this deliberately because they wanted to, one, destroy the image of the black girl next door, and two, they wanted to go out here and destroy the image of Lisa Bonet's huxtable character. So white supremacy did not want anybody to see somebody who was attractive, somebody date, somebody you could go out here and see as a wife. No, they didn't want you to see those kind of images. So what they did for the weak link release of Bonet, and they tried to use her to try to destroy the image of the black girl next door. However, thankfully, we had other black girls next door, like your Laura Winslow, and later on your Tia and Tamara Mowry and Hillary Banks. Thankfully, there were other black girls next door out there. White supremacy wanted to get the image of the black girl next door, and they wanted you to see the black girl as the black Jezebel. And sadly, because Lisa Bonet didn't understand the chess moves as related to the Hollywood game, she wound up losing, and she wound up losing because what Bill Cosby was trying to do was trying to craft. He understood there was a market for a black girl next door, and that market for the black girl next door was one that would primarily be supported by heterosexual black men and young black heterosexual boys because they wanted an idea of who they wanted to date and who they wanted to marry. And many young black girls wanted somebody to look up to, and people wanted to see. And that's one of the big problems that your white supremacy has with the image of a black girl next door. Um, Thank you, C Truth the Revelator, for a super chat. He says, such a pathetic pattern, isn't it? A lot of these black actors and actresses are willing to bootlick and sell their. Like Hollywood had a disaster on these individuals the whole time. Yes, when it comes to Hollywood, they oftentimes see the big picture, and a lot of times because a lot of these Hollywood are good at reading and studying people, they know how to tell people what they want to hear. And one of the things that people need to understand is a lot of these Hollywood types, they speak in their own language. And if you don't know what they're saying, you'll get flattered by their words and flattered by their charms, and you'll fall into a trap. Now, a lot of these people, they don't really like black women being this image of great beauty. They don't like the image of black women being attractive. Find a way to make the image of black women and young black teenage girls or young black less attractive than white females. So a lot of these actors, they're looking to bootlick up the levels with white Hollywood, and oftentimes they don't know that white Hollywood oftentimes see you coming 5 miles away, and they'll tell you what you want to hear to get you to sign on with their production company. And then once you've signed on with their production company, what happens is they start giving you these scripts, and these scripts usually are garbage that the white actresses have turned down, and a lot of them are filled with a lot of profanity, a lot of nudity, a lot of graphic sex scenes, and a lot of these movies, they have white male co-stars, and that's another selling point that winds up setting up a lot of these black actresses because is primarily black men and teenage boys, and when black men and teenage boys see their fantasy in the arms of a white man, this is what leads to black men and black boys no longer wanting to put your poster on the wall or see you here and be dateable. Yeah, Lisa Bonet always looked depressed or high in her photos, but that's because she was a part of that whole Hollywood game and went boho or bohemian again to get away from the image of the black girl next door so that she could appear to be more appealing to your mainstream watchers. Now, a lot of black actresses do this. What they do is they start pulling away from that black girl next door image in an effort to appear appealing to your whites out here. And what they want to do is now go from being a black actress to an actress. And what that does is puts a nail in the coffin for their careers because once you start becoming known as a quote unquote actress, that's when the whites who control Hollywood really start playing games with your head, and they start saying, "Oh, we don't really have a role that really fits you." Well, they just go out here and get roles for the white girl, but they're not seeing, and they're saying that, "Oh, we don't see you as an actress," but they don't have anything for you. So it's a big screw job that they set on you, and they'll start playing games with words, talking about, "Well, we don't really want to put you in anything Project Urban," and they love using that word urban to identify black because what they want to do is say, "Oh, we don't really want you in this role because we don't really want to go out here and see a black actress in the role because we don't want a black woman to be seen in a role where it's attractive in any way, shape, or form. They don't want you to compete with their white female actresses." So one of the things that they do is go out here and try to put you in roles where you're these kinds of what these thrillers that they call them, Angel Heart was, or movies like The Bank Robbery. They love putting black women in these kind of roles, and they like playing them, these kind of women that guys just go out here and are, they're not really the love interest, they're more like the sides. And that's how they go out here and exploit the black female image and get the black women to play the stereotypes that make them comfortable. Now, Corbius left a good comment. He said, "And too many pretty sisters low key think that they're too good for black men, and that's a big problem." Yeah, the black white girl. Yeah, that's another big problem with a lot of black actresses and black women. They start thinking, "Oh, I'm too good for the black man," and they want to go out here and gain the acceptance of white and non-black men, and that's how they get set up for failure. Especially a lot of these black, they get set up for failure because they start to see, "Oh, I've got a white male co-star, I've got a Hispanic male co-star, I've got an Asian male co-star." But the whole thing is that if they don't see a black man with a black woman, you've practically lost a big chunk of your audience. And while these movies may a little bit of attention, they practically wind up falling apart overall, and your image winds up falling apart overall. Now, was the first of these first black actors I saw of my generation get turned out like this. And again, it doesn't end well for your black actresses when they're out here and they buy into this mainstream narrative. Because after your white Hollywood will give you a small little bit of money as related to development, get you off the girl next door road and get you on to their mainstream road, they start putting you in the Jezebel. And then once they put you in the Jezebel role, that's you lose your audience. That's when you lose your chance at bankability, and that's when of decline. And usually, this is where your black actress gets turned out. Lisa Bonet was the first person to get turned out like this. The second person to get turned out like this was your Halle Berry. Now, your Halle Berry followed the same road that Lisa Bonet started out in black productions as well. She started out with Spike Lee as a crackhead and other roles, but other productions had Girl Next Door as the girl guys wanted to date, like Boomerang and Strictly Business. Again, here come the white supremacists in Hollywood about going mainstream, and the road to mainstream always leads back to the road to the Jezebel. And that's the trick that many black actresses don't really understand. If you try to go mainstream, white supremacy has the board set up to go down the road to the black Jezebel. And once they put you on the road to the black Jezebel, this is designed to sabotage your career, and it's designed to prevent you from being able to go out here and compete with the white actresses. The goal mainstreaming the black actress is to go out here and prevent her from being able to get quality roles and quality material. Because if you notice, with many black actresses, they had quality material with the black filmmakers. Oftentimes, when you have black filmmakers making projects for black actresses, you had them playing next door, you had them playing black love interest, and you had playing rich and multidimensional characters. But whenever they start to go mainstream, all a black actress becomes is one big sex object to be pumped and dumped by the white guy in the film. And after she has those sex scenes with the white guy, then goes on to be with the white female love interest, or that black woman winds up dead at Act Two. So Act One or Act Two, she winds up dead, and that's how they see again your but because they're getting the attention from white Hollywood, they're thinking, oh, this could possibly be a stepping stone to other roles that are richer, but there are no other roles that are richer. Your white supremacist Hollywood does not want to elevate a black actress to a level that is on the same as the white female actress. So they don't want you to be on the same level, and oftentimes what they do is they don't want you, the black actress, to be on the same level as that white female actress and get the attention and fame of the white female actress. No, they don't want you to be seen as the pinnacle image of beauty. So what they do is they bury the image of the black actress in comparison to the white actress, making her number two, or making her basically be somebody who's so unlikable or unattractive in a movie where she is the lead. And that's another trick that Hollywood does as they go out here and give a black actress a lead role. They make her have all of these negative traits. And again, they oftentimes sexualize the black woman. And what they do is they smut her out on screen, turn her out on screen, and then after she's smutted out and turned out, she is no longer seen as somebody anybody admires or anybody sees as respectable. And that's what they like to push as related to the black female image. And that's something that your mainstream Hollywood goes out here. And sadly, many black actresses do not really understand what's going on here as related to how these Hollywood executives work towards denigrating their image. They just get so caught up in the attention that the white executives are paying them and getting their face on the cover of mainstream magazines. They cannot see that these companies, yes, they'll put you there for a minute, but they're setting you up so that they can go out here and tear you down. Because on a production with a black heterosexual man, they will elevate you as an ideal of beauty. With heterosexual black men, they're going to elevate black women as somebody they see as beautiful, somebody they want to have in their lives, and somebody they want to go out here and date and marry. But you're not going to see that again with the mainstream productions. But many black actresses in Hollywood, they don't see the picture, and many black women sadly don't see the big picture as well. And because many black women don't see the big picture, they get emotional regarding people like Lisa Bonet filing for divorce from a Jason, and they look to try to defend what is indefensible because they're not looking at the optics to how Hollywood treats black women. They're just sitting there thinking, oh, this person is being critical. But when I come from this, again, years of studying the entertainment industry, knowing how the business works and how the business works against black people. And sadly, Lisa Bonet is a textbook example of how it works against black actresses. And this happened to her back when she was 18 years old. She didn't learn the lesson as related to how Hollywood works against black actresses. and has not really had a career since she got turned out from Angel Heart, and has been seen as mostly a person who's basically a sex object that is pumped and dumped in movies and TV shows, and sadly was used and exploited by your Jason Momoa, who Hollywood hypergamy as he was coming out of his simp phase. Now, your Jason Momoa, he was out here Bonet as the girl next door, but when he got involved with her, he had all the leverage in the beginning. And once she had the leverage in the beginning because she was helping him get his career going. But after he got his career going with Aquaman, and he decided and become a part of mainstream Hollywood. And sadly, art imitated life. I mean, life imitated art, and your Lisa Bonet got turned out for the second time. And this happens to many of the black actresses who go out here and see themselves as just an actress and go out here and swirl and go out here and have the white or the non-black partner. And what happens is they get turned out not only by Hollywood, but they get turned out the same way. Your Lisa Bonet recently got turned out, and your Tanya Pinkins got turned out in 1994 or 95 when she had her divorce, and her white husband took custody of her kids, took her house, took all of her money, and this sadly happened because, again, Tanya Pinkins probably saw herself as an actress, not a black actress, not understanding that the white supremacists in Hollywood, they don't have your best interests at heart. And what they do is they isolate you and keep you away from black people who know the game like a Bill Cosby knew the game. Now, your Bill Cosby, yes, he had his affairs with different women, but as he was having those affairs, he understood the game that was going on. And again, that was one of the reasons why he was trying to protect Lisa Bonet. And he was also trying to protect the image of young black teenage girls and young black women because he knew the game as related to things. And that's why he was trying to create concepts and images like the black girl because he knew how the business worked in the entertainment. And this is something that happens again on. And if you don't know what's going on, you wind up getting played. Yeah, Corvius Garcelle Beauvais did lose out to Snowbrad too, and Snowbrad also turned her out. She was another one who walked away from the black people in the entertainment industry who were trying to make her into a girl next, and she wanted to go mainstream, and she went mainstream with this work, and she got put on Playboy magazine, and after she got put in Playboy magazine, Snowbrad gave her some kids, turned her out a big child support payment. What's going on, Gboot2786? Glad to see you here. I appear with Gboot2786 on Thursday, and if you want to check me out on Gboot's channel, you can do so by subbing to his channel. You can sub to his channel and check me out there. So that's a channel you can check me out on because I'm there every Thursday night at 9 p.m. and you can check me out on there. Yeah, see, Truth, she's one of those West Indian women, but what happened is she thought she was going to rise to become an American actress and become a mainstream actress, but all she got was put on Playboy as doing some news as a black Jezebel, and then turned out by the white guy. And that's what happens to black actresses. They get used and turned out because they don't know. And sadly, when men try to sit down and tell them the game, they don't want to black men like Bill Cosby, and they don't want to hear from black men like myself who know what the business is, and they think that they're going to be able to do better because, oh, this white guy told me I me, but the whole thing is that that white guy knows that you're going to get spelled by his white skin, and that white skin covers a multitude of sins and imperfections. Now, if you want to learn about the whole concept of being spellbound, you need to pick up my novel Spellbound and find out what that whole concept is, because being a lot of black people, they get caught up in the attention that white people are giving them and the white acceptance that they think they're going to get, not understanding that that white person who you think likes you has absolutely no respect for you, and they saw you as a tool coming a mile away. And that's what happens to actresses out here. They start thinking, oh, I'm going to be accepted. I'm going to be on the cover of these magazines, but the way they present you is completely different than the way they present a white girl. No, the white girl's presented as innocent, but they always sexualize your image because they want to demonize your image, and then after they sexualize your image and demonize you, they then wind up tossing you and discarding you. And this is what happens in the entertainment industry. They wind up turning you out, the black actress, and once they turn you out, they release you from your contract, and then you're struggling and scraping, trying to find jobs out here up in All About Maryland with the Maryland character. The Maryland character, after she starred in one of their movies, her career as a sitcom star, which was doing well, wound up falling apart. They wound up releasing her, and she was just out there. And that's what happens to black actresses, because they don't know the game, and because they know the game, they wind up getting played by in Hollywood who have no interest in elevating the black female image, and they have no interest in seeing you advance to a place where you can be on the same level as the white female. I want you to be seen again on that same level, so they find ways to undermine your career and sabotage your career. And if you don't have a good agent or a good manager to tell you what's going on, you wind up getting played by these kinds of deals, and these kinds of deals wind up derailing a black career. So what I wanted to, again, I saw what was going on, and I saw a lot of comments being dropped. Oh, you're saying this because you're jealous, or saying this because you don't like them. No, I understand this business, and I understand how this business does black actresses, and I also understand how this business does a lot black women and how it exploits black women. What they want to do is, again, they make you believe that, oh, this person is going to go somewhere, but in actuality, they are being set up for failure. And they're being set up for failure because they don't understand the game is chess, not checkers. And you have to understand where you are on the board. And you have to understand to listen to those who do know better than you do, who have been playing on the chessboard. Bill Cosby knew what was going on, so he was trying to advise, but she didn't want to listen. And he also was trying to give her own show where she could play a role where she could get some respect, because a college student is somebody who can be respected and somebody who girls would look up to. He was trying to give Lisa Bonet that kind of role, but she didn't appreciate it because she wanted that white approval, white attention. And this is something that does in a lot of black actresses, and it does in a lot of black women actresses, and think that this entertainer is in a good place, but this entertainer is not in a good place. And a lot of sisters wind up in the same place because they're looking to gain that white acceptance, and they think a little white attention is better than a lot of black attention. As I see it, a lot of black attention is better than mainstream attention, because when you have a lot of black people looking at you and admiring you, you're in a better place, because you're in a place where you have a base, you have an audience, and you have a group that will come out and support your projects. That's better for you long term, because that way you can build your bankability. But many black actresses go to try to be like the white girl, and then they wind up at the bottom at the entertainment industry instead of trying to be in the black girl and trying to go here and build the largest black audience you can possibly build, an audience that goes out here and spends lots of money because that's what Halle Berry had. She had a big black audience and turned her back on that black audience. D-list movies like your dark movie on Netflix. She went from being somebody basically having feature films to going to. Ask a question. Do you think white supremacist Hollywood would humiliate the black female actress like a foundational black actress? Yes, they definitely would humiliate a black foreign female actress. In fact, black foreign actresses the same way they do FBA actresses. Beauvais. And your girl Stella Beauvais was one of the born actresses, and she thought she was going to be a big star when she posed in Playboy, but she didn't understand that Playboy is the end of somebody's career, and that advice they turned out foreign actors like Rihanna. Harvey Superboy talked about how Ashton Kutcher and all these other white guys turned her out and dropped her. And what happens to your foreign born? But what happens to them is they don't understand the subtle politics transpiring against them. And again, I think that this is Michael. I think it's StreamYard. What I'm going to do is try to put. I'm gonna put it back on. How is that with the audio right now? Because I don't know what's going on here with StreamYard and YouTube. Because YouTube, again, I'm dropping some facts here, and when you drop some facts, they don't want you to hear any sort of facts. What they want you to hear is basically me saying, "Oh, the black actress is somebody who is not going to get played. She's just going to be a big star." And what they want you to hear is, "Oh, the black actress, she's gonna be she's gonna be mainstream, but she's not gonna be mainstream, and she's not gonna be mainstream because they don't want to invest in elevating a black actress. What they want to elevate is a white actress, and they will go out here and do everything to undermine a black actress, from going out here and buying screenplays from black screenwriters like myself that are written for black actresses, and what they will do is buy that script and then hire another screenwriter to rewrite that script as a white female lead." So a lot of black screenwriters like myself will write a script for a black girl, like I did with All About Marilyn. And what the Hollywood will do is buy that script for a certain price, and they'll turn that script over to a white screenwriter, and the white screenwriter will rewrite that script as a white actress. And again, there's a big difference between a black screenwriter writing a character from black and a white screenwriter writing them from white culture, and they'll see the concept and change it up. And that's again to keep black actresses from having material and being able to go out here and find quality. They'll go out here and try to snatch it up and then hire somebody to rewrite it. And then once they rewrite it, they make that into a white movie with a white actress and a white female lead. And that pushes the black female right out of that role and right out of a quality story. So they box the black actress out that way, and that keeps the smart black actresses from finding quality scripts, because there are a lot of quality scripts out there, like my All About Marilyn and many other scripts. And what they do is, again, keep you from getting those scripts, from telling stories about black girls next door, or black ingenuines, or black romantic comedies, because they don't want you to see the black woman, somebody who is lovable, somebody who's attractive, somebody who's friendly, somebody who's approachable, And all they want you to see is the downtrodden, miserable black woman. They want you to see the black woman as a baby mama. They want you to see the black woman as a loser. They want you to see the black woman failure. And that's the kind of concept they like to push in movies like Halle Berry's Monsters Ball or Halle Berry's Bruised. They always want you to see the black woman as somebody as less than. They don't really want you to see a black woman as somebody beautiful or attractive or can go out here and get a fly guy and have a nice life. They don't want you to see that black woman because it makes the white girls extremely insecure. And as a narrative, white supremacy doesn't want you to see is that a lot of your white females have a deep hate for black women who are beautiful. That's something I talk about in All About Maryland as related to a scene with Tabitha, the girl who grew up to become the star of the script that was rewritten. And what they don't want you to see is the black woman as beautiful. And the whole thing is a lot of white women, they harbor a lot of anger when they see a beautiful black woman. They get jealous when they see beautiful black women. They are envious when they see a black woman going out here and being out at having great beauty and great presence. That's something that makes many white women uncomfortable. It makes them very angry. But but the whole thing is, white women don't want to talk about that kind of thing because that would show them for the racist that they truly are, and that's something that people they get uncomfortable talking about is the idea of a white woman envy and jealousy of black female beauty. So that's something they don't really like to talk about too much. I touched on it in All About Maryland, and it's something that we really don't want to explore. How your white females, a lot of them are angry when they see beautiful sisters. They see sisters that are really fly. They get angry at the sight of a sister looking good and having her own presence, and it really sets them off when they see that she's got eyes looking at her and not looking at this white female who is supposed to be pinnacle and standard of beauty. So that's something that a lot of people they don't want to talk about, but it's something I touched on in All About Maryland, and it's something that I understood needs to be talked about. And again, this is all has to do with how Hollywood again sees black women, and that's why they get to the black woman in a place where she's exploited and presented in a negative way because they don't want you to see black women on a level where they are seen as the girl next door, the girl of a guy's dreams, or the girl of a fantasy because they don't want the black woman to be the ideal for black beauty. And that's where independent black creators come in because we have to pick up where people like Bill Cosby left off because people like Bill Cosby, what they were trying to do is they were trying to get us to see ourselves as beautiful. And that's why we got characters like a Denise Huxtable, the black girl next door, because what Bill Cosby wanted us to see is that we have black girls next door. We have black girls are great girlfriends. Black girls want to date. Black girls, men want to marry. And he won't see these kinds of images because we don't see those images in mainstream media. So, what I've seen is, again, after Mr. Cosby left with the Cosby Show and after the O.J. Simpson trial, we stopped seeing those kinds of images and we went back to seeing the same old Jezebel stereotypes brought back once more. And sadly, this generation of girls don't have that black girl next door. They don't have those images of that black girl that every girl wants to be a friend with, or that image of that girl you want to date. They don't have those shows like a True Jackson VP. They don't have Your Sister. They don't have a Cosby Show. They don't have a Family. No, a lot of these girls growing up today, they don't have those kinds of images. and they don't have those kinds of stories, and they don't have those kind of characters to show you a model of positive black womanhood. And that's why we have a lot of girls out here buying into these ideas of this Jezebel, which Halle Berry brought back in Monsters Ball. We've got all of these IG, what they call thoughts out here, because there's nobody there to present that image of positive black womanhood, and there's nobody there to go out here and be a steward and say, hey, we need to create these kind of images so our young girls can go out here and see somebody that shows them that they can be beautiful, that they can be attractive, they can be friends to people, and they can be the kind of girl that guys want to date, guys marry, and that black is beautiful because that's what I had growing up. And again, it really changed my perspective because instead of me seeing a whole lot of white girls to see as the ideal, I grew up with Charles on Last Dragon, people like Denise Huxtable, and other characters, and Tamara and Hillary Banks and Ashley Banks, and many other characters. And yeah, some of them were light skinned, but again, it's a black girl, and you have black men looking at black women and seeing black beauty. And that is the most important thing, is that you have a black man looking at his sister as as somebody that reflects on him, and that's something your Hollywood doesn't want. And that's why they create these Jezebels. That's why they create these sapphires. They create these images because they don't want you to see your sisters as beautiful, and they don't want you to see your sisters as girlfriends or wives. Basically, they want you to see a black woman as an enemy so that they can sell you a fantasy of the white woman being the ideal, the white woman being better than the black woman, and the white woman the perfect woman to be with. But that's a narrative lie, because your white female is not this image of perfection. No, she has faults, but the white media, they don't want you to see those faults and flaws. They want you to see your black woman as being this absolutely worthless person. That's why mainstream media is really bad for our young sisters out here, because it teaches them that they have no value, worth, and that's why it's very important that you don't really put your young sisters in front of extremely negative mainstream media, because this mainstream media, it turns out our sisters and makes them believe being turned out is normal, the same way it turns out our black actresses and makes them believe that being turned out and used and abused is what they need to look forward. That's not what a sister should be looking forward to. No, a sister should be looking forward to a life where she can see people who respect her, see people who value her, see people who see her as beautiful. And again, the only place you're going to see that type of place as related to media is on black media, like Mr. Cosby was trying to create, and new black media, like I'm producing on the SJS Direct imprint. Because when I go out here and I craft stories about black girls, I go out here and present images of our sisters that show that they are beautiful, they are attractive, they are smart, and they can go out here and have all of the same types of stories told about them that are told by about white women, or told about Asian women, told about Hispanic women and Arab women, because we need to start seeing the beauty in black women. Yes, I am critical of some of these female narratives out here, but I want to show that there are better images out there, better stories out there, and we haven't again scratched the surface as related to those stories, because the mainstream media doesn't want you to see black women as beautiful and smart. No, they want to see her turn out and smart out the same way they did Lisa Bonet, the same way they did Halle Berry, the same way they did Garcelle Beauvais, the same way they did Kerry Washington. And there's a pattern here as related to black women. They just get turned out, and a lot of people connect the dots and see how Hollywood does black women wrong as related to their image. Soul Survivor leaves a good point. He says, yeah, Norman Lear tried to do that with Thelma in Good Times, but thankfully, yeah, there was John Amos there and Esther Rolle there, and they did protect her image. And that was one of the things that I was glad for because, again, when you have self-aware black people like a John Amos or Esther Rolle or a Bill Cosby, they can protect the image of our sisters and prevent them from being presented in the worst way. And that's why to go out here and have people to advocate for you and try to teach you because they can keep you from being exploited by places like Hollywood and keep you from the negative media that they present on their platforms. Because again, if you notice, many of those shows that I mentioned that featured us as a positive light, Cosby Show, Fresh Prince of Bel Air, Sister Sister, those were produced by black production companies. Quincy Jones's production company produced Fresh Prince. Suzanne DePass produced Sister Sister and Smart Guy. Cosby's production company produced The Cosby Show. Black-owned producers produced those kind of. I mentioned Robert Townsend with The Parenthood. I keep forgetting Zaria because she was an underrated black girl next door who never gets really acknowledged, and that was my Regan Gomez. Preston did do a great job of playing another black girl next door, and they don't really talk again about these sisters because they don't fit the narrative as related to white supremacy standard of beauty, and don't talk that much about them because they don't want them to be the one every guy wants to go out here, especially white guys, to be thinking about, and they don't want anybody to see those kind of images. So they try to bury those actresses and stall their careers and prevent them from being able to actualize their potential. And what's really sad is so many beautiful and great and talented black actresses never get that chance to really compete on a stage because Hollywood is all about exploiting black women and they're all about denigrating the black female image. So that's what's really the saddest part. I know many of these sisters can go out here and act and put on great performances, but they never get the material because it gets cut off because they buy it and keep other people from having it, or they don't even know it exists. But what happens is that they never get that chance to have that breakthrough role. But the only way we're going to get those breakthrough roles is if we go out here and make our own material. And that's something I'm glad to see a lot of people working on, especially with the comic book medium, like I saw Black Sands. They went out here, made their own material and made inroads. And we're seeing more and more black people go out here in this internet age making their own material. And again, that's the only way we're going to see more positive images. And that's the only way we're going to keep black girls and black women from being exploited by your white Hollywood, the way your Lisa Bonets, your Halle Berrys, and many others were turned out. We can turn the sisters around, but all it takes is for new black media to go out here and start creating counter media, and that's how we turn things around as related to the black image in black media. Now, I really wanted to make this stream again because I saw those comments as related to trying to defend what was indefensible, as related to some of my comments regarding Lisa Bonet and them trying to defend this woman. But this woman, she didn't know what the game was and didn't know what was going to be how these people were using her and exploiting her. And a lot of people, they need to be educated on this because if we want to go out here and get positive images of black women, we're going to have to go out here, make our own media, tell our own stories, and get those to the screen and get them on platforms that we own. And that's how we take control of our image, take control of our narrative, and take control of our stories. Now, I started taking control of our stories by publishing books on the SJS Direct imprint, like Eternal Night, which is a black horror vampire story featuring a black heroine, and books like those, like the Eastine series, and books like Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess, and books like John Haynes, Taking Care of Business. So if you want to pick up some of these books that feature positive images, And then you can pick all of these books up on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. And you can also find them on Smashwords, the iBook Store, and Google Play. And I have a lot of positive Black stories, like the Matilda Crowley that I talked about in Spellbound, the story of Marilyn Marie and All About Marilyn, and the story of Cassandra Lee in A Recipe for Success. And I also had this Disney type princess story in Easting the Sands of Time. So I have a lot of positive Black fiction on the SJS Direct imprint, along with some scripts again for All About Marilyn and a story I did call All About Nikki, which is a sitcom. This is a sitcom that's similar to The Fresh Prince and Clueless. A Black girl living in Beverly Hills. All of these kind of stories are the type I produce on the SJS Direct imprint. And if you want to see inspiring and uplifting stories that I produce on the SJS Direct imprint, you can head over to Amazon.com and pick up all of those books on the SJS Direct imprint in paperback and Kindle format. And all of those books are available. And again, I've had guys give these books to their kids, and their kids' perspective of the world changed. And a lot of those kids are excited to see positive stories that feature characters that are Black and can go out here, and they really are anticipating more of those stories. So you can find, again, those books on Amazon. And if you want to continue to see me do more streams like this, you guys can donate to the Super Chat, or you can donate to the Cash App, and you can donate to both of those platforms. You can also donate to PayPal. I've got to film a video one of my viewers requested. I haven't forgotten them. They sent me a donation. I still have to film that video, and that video is coming up. It should be up next week. So I get requests for videos, and I honor all of those requests, and I try to film them as fast as I possibly can. So that's something that I have to work on this weekend, along with the Woman Crisis, which is nearing an end. And I'm also working on a new John Haynes story as well. So got a lot of work to do. And again, I want to thank everybody for coming out to tonight's stream. And I'm hoping everybody learned something about how Hollywood does our sisters and how it has an effect on Black women's minds. And I'm hoping that you learned something from this stream. And again, I want to thank everybody for coming out to tonight's stream. And I hope you'll be there for next week's stream. Everybody have a good evening and a good night, and everybody have a great weekend. Thank you all for coming out, and I hope you'll be back next